And we are back, and Tally will be joining us soon. That was an interesting previous session. And while we were waiting to start, we were also talking about 2024 rules versus 2014 rules. So you might be seeing some different play styles kind of roll out of that as well. Well, happy Sunday, everyone. We made it to the end of the week. And can you believe it? We're in the middle of September already. Wow. September's halfway gone. That's crazy, right? Weren't we just all complaining about it not being summer? Feels like. Although you guys were wrapping up a campaign around that time too, so
yeah,
you know, we were worried about the end of the world and gods walking Exandria and
Wards turning into gods temporarily.
Yeah, temporarily, and things that happen of that nature. And I got Ryan's backstory now, so I have everybody's backstory. So that was a lot of fun this week. By the way, thank you, Ryan. That's one of my favorite choices that you made. I'm a huge Pike fan, and anything related to Pike, I'm a big fan of. So I appreciate that. I mean, not nearly as fun as dark and sinister as Karina is, but that's fine. Only one dark heart at a time makes me happy. I'm okay with that. So
yeah, the anti-Xanth, right?
Yeah, the anti-Xanth. Yeah. Where we last left off, the team had descended into the Ember Spire. And here they were hopefully trying to learn more information about maybe the organization running the auction, or maybe some other insights into what might be transpiring, as well as maybe seek the location of the Hubatt Corsairs and find out what had happened ever since Foreign had turned the Ivory Syndicate eyes upon them rather than following him directly. But with the deceptively fallen House Loomis, it would appear the team had accidentally come across a mysterious warehouse filled with baked goods, as well as the ingredients required for baked goods, a lot of information, and something called Seraphis powder. Not really sure what that does, as well as kind of a mysterious liquid within some of these containers that were associated with the Seraphis powder. We also had an opportunity to meet Sarai, who seems to have been taking quite a few large orders of making a new form of liquid gunpowder being ordered by somebody of mysterious nature out of the Hellcatch Valley. Although we're beginning to now weave things together, and this individual who goes by the name of Aquinon may somehow be using disguises or changing their form. And it wasn't until the team tried to destroy whatever that warehouse was trying to accomplish that a tragedy began to unfurl. As the fire spread within the warehouse, it unfortunately found some very explosive material. And when that blew, it also found the above walkway where Sarai's warehouse was, causing even more explosions to occur, causing a decent section of this area of the Ember Spire to not only explode and fall away down into the canopy jungle of the wilds, but is causing now a mass evacuation as the fire grows, spreads. Nearby, an airship has come over to help. Skiffs came in to help. Actually, a skiff with a dwarven captain on it retrieved the team to bring them up to the neighboring core spire in an effort to provide them with safety. The team then split. Karina making her way back towards House Loomis out of either concern or curiosity. Meanwhile, Melody told the others that she saw her sister within the explosion of the Smolder Spire. And here from the Ares Spire, the team does what Traumaton does best: steal a skiff and plunge back down into danger in hopes of helping Melody locate her missing sister.
Well, I mean, I think he was still in a skiff just to steal a skiff.
Yeah.
I might have.
Yeah, but I think for
It just so
altruistic
happened.
means, it made it easier for you guys to go along with the thievery.
Yeah, I just don't think that it was anything altruistic on Trauma's behalf.
Yeah.
As we watch Karina head off towards House Lewis, she snuck in to the main quarters of her mentor. There she saw what she thought was at first one figure turned out to be yet a different figure, and it would appear that maybe the person that she's looking at is actually the changeling known as Regina. And that's where we last left off, with the four of you on the skiff plunging down into the fire. And I believe, if I recall, a Traumaton is the pilot.
Well,
I wasn't the pilot. There's
yeah.
there's a
There's
construct
the
that I was going
automated
to talk to.
construct
Yeah.
that is the pilot. That's right. But you're having to kind of like convince it and coax it to take the skiff back down into the
Yeah.
flame and fire. That's right.
Yeah, we haven't actually gotten to the part where I was trying to convince it to do anything, but yeah, that was
It just-
the plan.
They said it was like it was controlled by somebody else, and it took off back down to the fire.
Okay. So with that, you feel the skiff underneath your feet begin to bank and angle. You watch as in the surrounding debris and smoke that is like kind of billowing out of the smolder spire. You watch as other skiffs are coming out and empty skiffs going back in to attempt to retrieve any potential survivors. Every now and then within the smoke and fire, you could see a tiny object just leap off the edge and plunge down into the jungle canopy below. The skiff, a Traumaton, give me a persuasion check as you are guiding this other construct back into the fire.
All right, let me find my dice here and my setup here. All right.
I would also say, I don't remember if I did this last time, but while you guys were on the Airy Spire making choices and decisions, you could have used that time as a short rest if you want to do that.
Okay.
All right. Give me 1 second, because I'm trying to make sure, because I was playing around with the 2024 rules on that just to see what I can do. I don't think they're it's really working.
That's why you make a
because I think
copy. You make that copy.
I did. I have a copy, but yeah. All right, so that was 16, I think. 16.
Okay. You hear the clicks and clacks and the kind of chromatic and metal whirs of the construct that is managing the skiff. You then feel the skiff plunge. All of you holding on to the railings, and the skiff descends directly into the dense part of the smoke. Everyone give me perception with disadvantage, if you would, please, as you're now just engulfed with smoke and heat.
That's
Learned my lesson about rolling in D&D Beyond.
They call those binary odds, my friend. Binary odds.
That was an 8 for old trauma.
Ooh.
Ooh. I got a 7.
I got an 18.
I got 12.
Nice. 12. So, Melody, as you peer with your eyes burning from the smoke into the direction, the others don't quite see it, but your eyes go wide as the skiff is going too fast and getting too close to a chunk of the platform that just kind of comes out of the smoke at you. You yell back at a Traumaton who kind of like slams into the skiff pilot. The skiff pilot lifts up and the skiff kind of settles onto the smoke-strewn platform. A section of burning building off to your right. You can see what looks to be a large tower kind of fully engulfed in flame. The skiff kind of skids on this chunk of platform. There's very badly burnt bodies around you, charred debris and rock all around you. But but as you look, this feels like maybe it might have been the general area that you might have seen your sister, but you kind of get the feeling you have to go deeper into the smoke and fire, closer towards the main spire that you guys were originally on that walkway when you saw it collapse.
I'm gonna wrap a scarf around my face and push further in.
Okay. With that, the four of you are now on the collapsed platform. You watch as Melody gets off the skiff and just kind of starts pushing into the dents of the smoke. What do the rest of you do?
I'm following her because at the last point she said she saw her sister down there, and Born really feels like crap right now.
Yeah. I'm following too, but just screaming at Foreign about how much of an idiot he is.
Really? Really?
Now's not the time. You can yell at me later.
What are you doing, Trauma? Are you staying on the skiff?
For the time being, I'm going to stay on the skiff and just try to get the construct to basically acknowledge our ownership of the skiff.
In that case, give me a Arcana check as you start looking at the controls and the way the construct works with the skiff.
Oh, that's going to be bad. Actually, that wasn't that bad. That was a 16.
Actually, the DC was a 15, so that's a really good roll. You find a panel that you pull open, and you can see that there's a series of arcane stones, gearwork, and kind of strange gadgets inside of it. But you recognize it as something from your past called an interface. You pull back one of your appendages, a panel on your appendage, and you shove the big kind of flat of the appendage like into the panel, and you could feel the arcane energy kind of absorb and connect. You currently have temporary control over piloting the skiff, which allows you to make it hover a few feet off the platform, and then you lose track of the other three as they get lost in the smoke and the fire and the debris kind of coursing off of that. Melody, give me a investigation or survival check at disadvantage. Everybody else is free to do that as well. The smoke is heavy, the heat of the fire. Oh, hi, Tally. Welcome back.
That's a 7 for survival.
Okay. Air Trio, what'd you get?
8.
8?
At
Those
disadvantage,
8s and
correct?
7s, man. Yeah, disadvantage. Yeah, because of the smoke and heat. Foreign?
A 1.
A 1.
So that's a 3.
You rolled a natural 1 on that one?
Yeah, I rolled a nat 1.
Take 3 points of fire damage from straying off course too much, getting too close to a couple of the areas where the fire were.
I deserve it.
Melody, your eyes are streaking with the smoke. You look, no sign of your sister. You're deep enough in the damage and debris area. You eventually see an individual. He's standing there. He's got somebody under his arm, and he's got them in such a way that you can tell that he's partially singed. He's got a person under his arm, like he's dragging them out of the debris pile and setting them on the ground. He then begins to look around, and he takes his cloth and he kind of like wets it with his canteen, and he puts it back over his face, and he ducks in back to where he came from. He seems to have found a location with a lot of injured, and he's now pulling them out as he's in the process of over and over again pulling out people from the spot that he's working from.
I'm going to run to check on that person on the ground, and if they're unconscious, I'll give them a point of lay on hands, and then I'll tell them to run in the direction I came from.
Yeah, you lay your hand on him, and he begins to cough. Oh, God! And he gets up and listens to you point and run, and he starts running in the direction that you point. You watch as the big fella comes back out of the debris, holding something over his shoulder. You recognize fawn legs when you see them. They're badly burnt, and the figure does not appear to be breathing when he sets the male fawn down on the ground. And then, do whatever it is you're doing. I'm going to get more. And then goes running back into the debris pile.
I'm gonna shout, look for another fawn as he's
Okay.
running.
I'm gonna follow him in.
Okay. Foreign, you go follow him into the debris pile. Eritrea, what are you doing?
I will also follow into the debris pile. But as I see people laying down, anyone I can check, I will do spare the dying on them. Anyone that I can see that seems like they're completely.
Yeah, you take that brief moment, people lying on the ground, and you start doing what you can to kind of prevent them from passing. You and Foreign get a little bit deeper, and you realize the debris pile is the remains of a tavern. And you could see just chairs on fire, tables are on fire, big, huge wood beams, and chunks of the stone walkway from above had collapsed into this spot. You both look around, see each other, see this huge fella that you followed in here, and he's lifting up a huge piece of stone. You could see somebody underneath it. He yells back, "Quick, pull him out!"
Sure thing, boss.
Try to lift this guy out too.
Okay, you
Try to
get
lift this
underneath
fella.
there. Foreign, you watch as Eritrea pulls an unconscious figure from underneath. The big guy holding up the stone looks at you. Are there any others underneath there?
I'll crouch down and take a look.
Give me perception with disadvantage because of the smoke.
Yep. That's a 12.
12. You can see a pair of fawn feet.
Hold it there. And I'm gonna like shimmy under and try and grab the feet and pull them out.
Yeah, you pull out the form. They're severely crushed, burnt. Their fur is blistered. Their skin is blistered. And you get the feeling that you're looking at Melody's sister.
Before I can get her out, before we get out, I'm going to cast Cure Wounds.
They don't take. She's already passed.
Oh, shit.
But you're not entirely certain how long she's been dead.
Can I spare the dying on her?
Yeah, you pull her out. You watch as Foreign tries to cure her. You see no effect from the magic. And Eritrea, you quickly realize that maybe she just might have passed. And you place your hands on her shoulders and rib cage. And you cast Spare the Dying on her. And you feel the spell take effect. So she's stabilized currently.
I'm going to scoop her up and get her out.
Okay. You get her into your arms. The big guy lets the stone fall to the ground, looks around. I think that's everyone. Quick, out! Everybody out! And from your vantage point, Melody, at the over where you were helping some of the others kind of come to consciousness and directing them to like run towards the edge where you guys came from, you watch as Forn comes running out of the smoke and fire with this big guy that looks to be maybe a skiff captain or even an airship captain, along with Eritrea. They seem to be carrying your sister. You can see part of her face is severely burned, and she looks dead. But as they run by, you can hear Forn.
Yeah, as soon as I hit the door, I'm screaming for Melody. Melody!
Yeah, Melody
over here!
is like screaming when she sees her sister. I will like run over and try and get you and put a lay on hands into her, which is just 1 point, but
enough to like bring her to momentary consciousness. Her one good eye kind of opens, her other eye kind of bruised from the contusion of the collapse. Melody?
Arya!
And then Arya just kind of like passes out from the pain and exhaustion of what just happened. Three of you looking at the smoke and debris. The three of you give me survival checks at disadvantage as you try to gauge where the skiff might be.
19.
I'll also
Nice.
I'll also call to. Wow, that was a good roll.
Yeah.
It's an 18.
Okay.
Nice.
I'll call to. I'll use my charm rather to talk to Trauma, and
Okay.
I'm just like, and it just Trauma. We're over by a ruined tavern. If you
What'd you
can't
get,
talk
Melody?
back, I've got to
I
give
got
him
a
a
4.
direction.
4.
I got a
Melody
4.
kind of caught up in finding your sister. You're not paying that much attention. But Eritrea and Thorn, you kind of see the path that you took in here. And as the three of you go running with others running on either side of you in the direction where you know a Traumaton and the skiff should be, a huge flare of light above you. And you hear this like explosion. And as you look up, you see an airship on fire slowly descending at an awkward angle into this section of the smolder spire. A Traumaton outside on the perimeter of the spire and smoke, you just watched as a chunk of the smolder spire exploded off into an airship. The airship erupted. This 200-foot long airship just erupted into flame. It's now out of control and crashing down into the side of the smolder spire, right exactly where you're parked. What do you want to do, Traumaton? You got a moment.
How far away is the airship?
It's maybe 100 feet above you.
Okay. I want to kind of veer off. Kind of try to. I'm trying to think of how to describe this. I'm not used to having to move in three dimensions in D&D. I want to kind of veer off to the left of it. Try to maintain my height, but just get out of its way. But try to stay in the rough vicinity of where I was when I first rose up.
Okay. You watch as a bunch of shadowy forms are now appearing at the edge of smoke and the fire. You guys see that a Traumaton has had to veer slightly off. There's a 20-foot gap between where you guys are and where the skiff is. What do you guys do?
I'm
It's
gonna.
like this is a blank gap in the air, or is it
Yeah.
running space? It's just a blank gap.
Yeah, it's a blank gap. Like he's got to veer off of the walkway to keep the skiff pointed away before the airship like slams into the side where you guys currently are.
Is there like any scaffolding or anything visible, or like stuff
your-
that's like, you know?
What's your passive perception?
Passive is a 16.
There is broken and bent railing all around you.
Okay. Well, Melody, you had something before
I have a ability called Mirthful Leap, or when I make a long jump, I can add a D8 to the number of feet I cover. But I don't know how many feet I would normally cover. So I don't know what to add the D8 to.
Well, I mean, it's just a 20-foot jump. I mean, it's easy, pretty easy,
20
right?
feet.
I mean, if
I'm fine with it just being a simple athletics or acrobatics check. If you use your ability, you can take that with advantage.
okay.
If I find a railing, I'm gonna try and like, if it's hanging up, I want to try and shoot it free, just to have it drop out to give us something to run across towards.
Yeah,
or to
take
start
a
running
shot
towards
at the bent railing and see if you can get it to land and create a bridge for you guys to the skiff.
That's a 16 to hit.
That'll hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
Okay. Get back. Forget which dice it is. It's okay. D10. That's 8 points of damage.
You hear as Forns got Arya over his shoulder, he kind of quickly takes a pistol shot at the railing. It breaks the last bit of metal holding it, and you hear this creaking sound as the metal railing just crashes, creating this makeshift bridge across over to the skiff. Anyone using that is going to need to make either athletics or acrobatics checks to make it onto the skiff.
That's going to be the best way for me to get on the skiff.
Mhm.
I don't think I'm going to jump very far.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to go across it with acrobatics. Give me a 15.
Okay.
I just rolled with advantage and got a 2 and a 3. So
Oh, God.
it's a 7. That's a 7. Athletics.
So as Forn goes across with Arya, what'd you get, Forn?
I rolled a 10.
Okay. DC was a 15.
Yep.
So Eritrea is able to assist you, Forn, and the two of you, using each other's weight, kind of pivot and crash onto the skiff. Forn, you'll take 2 points of bludgeoning damage when you land on the skiff.
I mean,
but you watch as Melody is trying to.
On top of me.
You're watching as Melody is trying to like catch up with you guys coming across. Her fawn-like footing kind of slips on the hot metal, and she starts falling through the gap in the railing. And as she's about to fall and start just falling down into the jungle canopy, you see the big guy with the red jacket come through the smoke. He's got somebody over his shoulder, and he reaches down and grabs one of Melody's horns. Grabs her by the horn, lifts her up, and just kind of try again. And he just kind of like throws you towards the skiff. He throws the person he's holding on to over onto the skiff, and then he jumps onto the skiff as well. And you guys watch as a Traumaton suddenly banks the skiff, and just as the massive airship slams into the side of the smolder spire, you feel the skiff increase in speed as the Traumaton takes it up and away and out of the range of the fire and the smoke. And with that in mind, we will find ourselves back with Karina.
Can I ask, what did I miss?
Some chatter about characters.
You could certainly try.
We started like 5 minutes before you got on. So.
Yeah.
Thank you so
We
much.
mostly just did the recap.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
So for you, Karina, after separating with the others to head up to House Loomis Estate to try to figure out what was going on, you snuck into your mentor's bedroom. Once inside there, you saw somebody who's going through a changeling-like appearance. And they went from looking like the person that you believed to be going by the name of Axion, because he had the goatee, the beard, the white hair, suddenly turned into one of your mentors.
Wait, that's not what happened.
Aquanaut?
Wasn't it?
It was Regina, right?
Well, yeah, but you get the suspicion it might be Regina because whoever that Axion person is just turned into your mentor. And now you're beginning to understand that maybe the main person that's behind all of this is actually this Regina person that's been kind of self-described through the documentation and other eyewitnesses. This could be another changeling. And now your mentor is standing there in the room, not aware that you're there.
Man, we changelings are everywhere. Yeah, I guess it ended with her saying, "Oh crap," and then changing to Loomis and leaving the room. Is that still where it's ended?
So what you heard is they're looking out the window. You could see in the distance the column of smoke, and then you heard a loud explosion. The individual then changes from the Axiom visage into Alondra Loomis, the main head of the house. And she mutters in her elven state, "Oh, fuck." And she turns to start leaving the room, unaware of you.
I am just gonna wait for her to leave.
Okay. You watch as she leaves. She throws open the door, heads out the door, closes the door. You can hear her footsteps descend down through the academy stairs and out into the main library. You're by yourself. You're in Alondra Loomis's private chambers. What would you like to do?
You mentioned it looks really messy, like somebody was throwing stuff around.
It feels like it's been tossed. The mattress has been ripped open. Bookcases have been thrown to the ground. Chairs tossed off to the side. Cabinets kind of, opened and their contents spilled out onto the ground, almost like this person was looking for something.
Okay. I'm gonna start kind of looking around, but I'm gonna make a conscious effort not to trip up any mimics or anything of that sort that might be looking around.
Give me an investigation check for starters as you start looking around.
Can I use my real dice? I forgot that was a thing I was.
Please, I much prefer you use real dice.
Okay, it has nothing to do with the 3 I may or may have not landed on.
Nat 1.
Nat 1.
That's a 4. The world just doesn't want me to find anything.
No.
So, okay, 4 plus 5, that's going to be a 9, and I'm going to use my D6 inspiration.
Go for it.
That's a 1.
Oh.
Man, what happened? Well, I guess that's going to be a 10.
That's what we do. That's what our group does, though. When we roll, when we're doing this kind of like in-depth looking for stuff.
Yeah, no, the reason the campaign takes so long is because we all roll 1 every single time.
Here's the big map and all the stuff. Rolling that 1. Hieroglyphics.
Looking around, the first thing you notice is you hear a familiar sound of a bird, and you look over to see Evil landing on the window's ledge.
Oh, wait. I believe I am using Gaze of Two Minds to be inside Evil's body, who is currently a rat.
Yeah, but you had... Oh, that's right. He's a rat, but you had to break that originally, or else you wouldn't be able to make it into the room because you'd be deaf. You'd be deaf and blind. You'd only have the ability to speak.
My character is taking the form of another student and is hiding in the bushes outside, passed out, and then...
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay,
200 feet, I can still move, but I believe it ended with me being a filthy little rat.
Evil's a rat, right? Or you were a rat coming in to the room, right?
Yeah, I'm in Evil's body, and Evil is a rat.
That's right, and you're hiding in the bushes while this is all going on.
Yeah, in the form of a different student. So hopefully.
Yeah. So you're in Evil's form, and you start looking around. The 10 is not much to work with, but it's just enough for you to figure out that over by the windowsill, you kind of walk over in this alternate student's form. You could see all the people down on the veranda down below looking towards the devastation unfolding down in the Ember Spire. And that's when you look down into your left, there is a outline of what might be a footlocker. So you know how you leave a piece of furniture in one place for so long, it creates like a fade almost in the floor, and you're looking, and somebody has come in and removed a footlocker or a chest or a box. That's the only thing that you think is missing from within here.
Okay. I don't have too much time because I don't want to be found, but I'm just going to make one conscious effort to look for anything fey that feels fey.
Ooh.
And since I am fey, hopefully that gives me a little bit of like...
I'll say you can give me perception with advantage, since you're looking for something very specific.
Wait, I was gonna... Okay. It's the first one is 13, and I'm gonna do one with this, and I'm gonna try and remember to use my real dice because
I know it's so easy to point and click. So easy to point and click.
Never mind, digital dice is better friends. So it's gonna be a 13.
13. Where one of the cabinets was overturned and spilt its contents onto the ground, there is a glass jar filled with pixie wings that you see on the ground.
Pixie wings, damn. Okay, I'm just gonna sniff around it a little bit.
Okay, you go over by it, and that's when you kind of move some of the cabinet out of the way. And there's other glass jars filled with different varieties of harvested Fey-like items, whether it be fur, horn, just things that you recognize as Fey that were harvested from Fey creatures. There's about a dozen small glass containers filled.
Do I
with
recognize any horns specifically as something that might be a satyr?
Not necessarily a satyr. It could be. They've got that classical kind of colorful sheen of Fey-like, coloration. It feels like it came from small Fey creatures. Nothing larger than maybe a pixie or brownie or something of that caliber.
Okay, that'll have to do for now. So as my last investigation, I'm just gonna see if there is like maybe a hole in the wall or any place that evil can wait in.
Okay.
And
Give me a survival check as you're looking for a place for evil to hide.
I did it again. Okay, it's 11.
11? There's a couple of fractured areas at the base of the baseboards. Evil easily kind of goes over, uses his teeth to kind of peel away at the baseboard, and Evil tucks in to one of the holes.
Okay, I tell Evil, if you are found and you are made to talk, tell her that you were sent here by... Do I know the name of the person in charge of Treshy? Of the House of Treshy?
Cassian Treshy.
Tell him that Cassian has summoned and sent you here. That is all you know.
All right. It sounds like I've got to lie, which I love to lie.
Oh,
I'll do it.
The benefit of being evil.
Yeah. By the way, if you find your friends' bodies, can I have a nibble?
Okay, but be respectful.
Okay.
Be tactful about it. Wait until after the funeral, maybe.
I'd be very interested in crawling inside a traumaton. See what's inside there. I wonder if there's any organ meat inside that big metal box.
Well, it's good to know you have a curious mind.
Oh, yeah. Well, by extension, your mind, just in darker places.
Don't remind me. Anyway, try to be hidden as much as you can.
Okay. For how long? How long am I staying here?
For now, indefinitely, until you hear back from me.
Oh, okay. Very good.
No, try to be smart about this. And with those rousing words, I go back to my body.
Yeah, you're in the bushes. You're kind of clearing your mind. And just as you do, you watch as the person that was up in the room, your mentor, Alondra, comes running out of the doorway and starts heading towards the other students and onlookers over by the veranda.
Okay, I'm gonna try and stay hidden until she passes.
Okay. She doesn't notice you. She's in a hurry, so she goes right past you.
I'm not gonna risk following her quite yet. I think I'm just gonna focus on getting out of there right now.
Okay. You look around. It's pretty chaotic with all the activity going on over at the Smolder Spire. The aerial spire is quite taller than the Smolder Spire. It's at that moment as you're kind of looking around where to go and work your way out of this area that you're in within the estate. You hear that huge explosion, and the others kind of like scream in horror and panic as an airship just bursts into flame and crashes into the Smolder Spire, giving you enough of a distraction that you just not even really have to make a stealth check. You just kind of back up and away and get far enough back to where you got onto the estate that you're by yourself over at the edge of the estate fence where you had initially entered.
Okay, I look for an opportunity to become the bird person again and fly away. And I believe I have one of Thorn's
Charms.
Yeah.
But only I can talk to you.
Yeah.
But as we leave, as we're like taking off from the place where we are now, I'll talk. I'll just tell you, Corinna, we returned to the Smolder Spire. We picked up some survivors. We're headed back to the Ivory Spire, where we took off.
Okay, then I will go in that direction. And again, just try to be discreet.
Okay. Before long, the skiff makes it back to the Aerie Spire. You guys find Karina patiently waiting on the platform. More skiffs, another damaged airship arrives to unload lots of passengers that were rescued from the Ember Spire. It's a chaotic scene at first, but the skiff and all of you are back together again on the Aerie Spire platform, a little bit further away to not be specifically picked up on or noticed. The big guy who had helped Melody up out of the collapse of the railing just kind of looks around. Well, this has been a morning already, hasn't it? Is everybody okay? Is everyone alive?
I'm gonna call for one of the medics because when we got brought up before, there was like a medic going around, kind of doing.
Yeah, there were like priests and priestesses kind of going around and attending to the injured. You watch as a very kind of tired looking wild mother priestess comes like running over and sees all the injured on the skiff. But oh my. She pulls out her bag and starts looking. Who shall I start with?
My sister's unconscious.
Oh, of course. Goes over to well, what does your sister look like, Melody?
She looks a lot like Melody. They are twin sisters, so she has the same purple hair, but she has it like clipped short. She's dressed like a lot less ostentatiously than Melody. She's like much more practically dressed, and she's probably, I would guess, a little bit like leaner than Melody is.
Okay. The elven wild mother priestess goes over to your sister, pulls out a potion and pours it into your sister's mouth, and then places her hands on some of the more grievous wounds. You watch as the divine energy kind of courses through and begins to seal up the wounds. Blistered skin gets more natural color. Your sister's eyes flutter open, looking up at all of you, looking down at her. The big captain goes, "Priestess, if you wouldn't mind, we have more back here as well." And you watch as the priestess gets up and runs back towards the captain that's also catering to some of the other injured. Ariana's eyes open wide and stares at you.
I'm gonna, rush down and hold her hand and hold the side of her head.
And she slowly starts getting up with you and kind of on wavering feet. And Melody, is that you?
It's me. I'll give her a big hug.
Where? Oh, yeah.
Where have you been?
I've been.
It's been months.
I know. I've been busy working for House Treshy. I'm saving our kind.
What do you mean?
House Treshy recruited me to start a program where I seek out others of the Fae that wish to find sanctuary here in Jrusar. They've been sponsoring me ever since. I'd become so busy, I'd never had a chance to reach out to you and find out how you have friends. Oh, you have a big metal friend as well. Hello, I'm Ariana. Good to meet all of you. She kind of embraces back at you and just kind of holds you like at arm's length, and you kind of both simultaneously say at the same time, "What were you doing in the Smolder Spire? Why were you there?"
Aria, you said you're working for the Treshies? I've only been here a couple weeks. Everything I've heard is that the Treshies are trading in Fae body parts.
Oh, well, she looks around and kind of pulls you aside from the others as Karina and Traumaton and Eritrea and Foreign kind of stare on at all the unfolding arrival of skiffs and leaving of skiffs. Well, I'm afraid that's a rumor that the Treshies helped me start. It was designed to force the Fae to come and find us for safety and for shelter. There is actually, unfortunately, an underground attempt by the Ivory Syndicate to collect rare Fae componentry or parts. It sounds horrible, it is. But I have been spreading that rumor in hopes that others would seek shelter with us. Unfortunately, it has been twisted and molded by others at the same time. It wasn't meant to be linked to House Treshi that way. It was meant to actually be linked to the Ivory Syndicate in hopes of driving people towards us. But there are some people within the Ivory Syndicate that have been battling directly with House Treshi and myself, and interceding and taking prisoner Fae that seek us out for safety purposes. The Corsairs have been helpful to a certain degree, guiding people in our direction as well. Although that is the reason why I was here in the Smolder Spire. I was seeking the leadership of the Hubatt Corsairs. Unfortunately, their headquarters was empty. No one was there. And I don't know why. And then the next thing I know, I was going back to the tavern to meet, oh my goodness, Thomas. And then she looks over to see where another fawn is being kind of aided by the priestess, and this other fawn is kind of sitting upward, and you watch as your sister kind of rushes past you and like grabs on, and just you could hear her, Thomas, you're okay, oh by the gods, and kind of like pulls him, and they like take a really long embrace, and like and then kind of look at each other, and then you hear the other fawn, Rihanna, what why are there? I must still be injured. There's two of you. And he like shakes his head, and his fawn horns are very much more like a ram, where they're curled more over. And there's a lot of like decorations on his fawn horns. His fur color is a black, brown, and like a soft white that kind of blends it together. And then you can see that his arms are quite thin, but he's got tattoos of arcane nature, and he's wearing kind of like pinks, reds, yellows, and greens that are showing signs of damage from the fire. You watch as Ariana helps up Thomas and Ariana kind of come back over to where the five of you are standing. Melody, this is my good friend Thomas.
Friend of yours?
Yes, it is. He's been helping me save and gather others that have been suffering within the city and within the surrounding areas of Marquet. We've saved quite a few, haven't we, Thomas? Yes. Unfortunately, our tavern that we use as our Safeway, or as our safe house, well, it's no longer there. We will have to figure this out as soon as we can find any of our old contacts. Sorry. My name is Thomas. Pleasure to meet all of you. Thank you for saving us. It's much appreciated. I don't know what happened, and I'm not going to pretend to understand what happened, but I do appreciate your aid.
Foreign is like wringing his hands at the back of, like he's just worked his way to the back of the group, and he's just wringing his hand, like he's really upset about what has happened.
Karina is now back with you guys as well.
Yep.
What did I miss?
Karina, this is my sister and her friend Thomas.
Hello, it's good to meet you. Yes, pleasure to meet you.
I am so happy for you. Oh my goodness. Well, this is the worst circumstances this could have happened, but it's still good to see such good news come in. And I might be a bearer of some less good news. Some might even say bad news.
What's going on?
I was able to use some of the panic and mess that's that's been emanating throughout the streets to sneak into the room of Alandra Loomis. She has been replaced by what I believe to be a changeling who has also taken the form of Axion and whom I believe either works for or might even be Regina Green. Worse yet, when I looked around very briefly through this person's stuff, I saw some illegal Fey body parts that they were keeping that are likely part of the trade that we suspect is happening.
I'm gonna look at Arya right away, because to me it seems like she has everything totally figured out. Do you know anything about this? House Loomis? Are they? Have they been...
They're still here. I thought they were like a side.
Oh, they're still here, yeah.
No, never mind. I'm gonna tell you guys as soon as they're out of earshot. I don't trust them yet.
Okay.
I love it.
I just really got lost in the mess of this. I mean, to think that so much explosives have been hidden inside residential workplaces. Who would do such a thing? Ford.
Oh, you're muted, Kurt.
Sorry. Perhaps here on the dock is not the best place to have this conversation.
Likely not.
Where have you been
Where
staying?
would be?
Arya?
I'm curious, Backwater Idiot, where would be a good place to have this conversation? And I just turn my head and just glare.
Y'all
Can a
agreed to it.
Traumaton glare?
I mean, I assume that the lights in his eye sensor just kind of. I assume that the intensity ratchets up.
I don't need any sass from you, Rusty. And I'm going to start, we can go back to my friend, the Goliath.
Currently, you guys are in the Airy Spire.
Yeah.
A lot of the injured are being treated on the skiff that a Traumaton borrowed. And Eritrea, the elven priestess, kind of comes rushing over to you, notices that you've got emblems of a healer on you, and she kind of grabs you and pulls you back onto the skiff to help her treat. If you could just please help me. There's at least 6 other here that need stabilization, and I could use the help.
I go and help. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So Eritrea, as you make your way back onto the skiff, you can hear the others beginning to talk to Ariana and Thomas, and they're trying to figure out what to do next. You're looking at a skiff of about 6 injured folk. You hear the captain that was helping you earlier over on the Ember Spire being referred to as Captain Voss by the priestess. And they exchange words really quick, and he departs the skiff to go towards another skiff that's a little bit further down on the platform of the Airy Spire. She turns, sorry, yes, please, these ones here. And she begins to kind of guide you for a few moments towards one. And you're free to use whatever healing abilities you have to kind of help participate in like all the stabilization of the different individuals on the skiff. Give me a medicine check as you examine these folk and begin to apply aid to them as well.
That's going to be a 13.
13. One of them is injured very differently than the others. It is a human male with very short brown hair. They're wearing like a leather smock that's charred and burnt, leather pants, their linen tunic underneath the leather smock. And they have a lot of like tools and equipment tucked into the pockets of their leather smock. He's got a simple beard, no mustache, and he's unconscious. But as you bring him back to consciousness, his burns and his injuries don't match the typical burns and injuries that you've seen on some of the others. It's more of like a corrosive acid, as well as a touch of necrotic to it as well. Give me a Arcana check as you continue to aid this person.
That is a 16.
This person's been injured by a spell effect. This person's been attacked, is what you feel might have happened. They were attacked by someone casting a spell, or possibly by a arcane effect at some point. And you know this was one of the people that was kind of dragged out of the tavern area where Melody's sister and her friend were dragged out from. So you know that they were from that point. But there's something very odd about their wounds that catches your eye.
I mean, he's fully conscious now at this point.
His eyes are slightly open. He's, what happened? Where he kind of sits up. He's a bit woozy. Hello? You're
I'm
pretty.
trying not to tell a story of him, but I kind of am soft and, looks like you got pretty roughed up.
Yes, I was in the middle of talking with somebody when I felt a searing pain. And then a few moments later, the tavern burst into flaming smoke. I don't know. My name is Marcus, by the way. Thank you for helping me. Oh my, we're all the way in the Ivory Spire. And he looks past you to see the column of smoke and flame kind of emanating up from the Ember Spire as more airships now join. There's now 3 large airships circling the Ember Spire. You can see figures out on the edges of the airship casting cold effect spells. You watch as a hailstorm of ice crashes in to the side of the Smolder Spire. You watch as water is being formed midair and then thrust down towards the Smolder Spire. And then all of you, while you are off to the side and Eritreo's talking with Marcus, all of you watch as a massive copper dragon swoops over with a rider on its neck, and you watch as the copper dragon banks into the smoke and fire, and the rider's hands are up as spell effects start jutting out towards the fire. And within a matter of 10 minutes of returning to the Ivory Spire, you watch as it's now just smoke. It's just smoldering smoke emanating off of the Smolder Spire. The flames look to all have been extinguished. And some of the people get up on their own accord, begin to wander off to the different areas where the Wardens are staging places for people to recover. Captain Voss comes back over to you, Eritreo, and helps kind of Marcus to his feet. Thank you. I'll take it from here. Priestess, if you join us. And you watch as the priestess and Captain Voss are guiding the other survivors back onto the platform of the Skyport and to these different kind of triage and staging grounds that have been set up. Leaving the 5 of you with Ariana and Thomas. Thomas whispers something into Ariana's ear. Oh, of course. We're going to go see what we can do to help the Wardens. Find me later, Melody. And I believe there is a place here in the Ivory Spire that we can get caught up on. Perhaps there's a place called the Ascension's Rise. It's the University of the Ivory Spire. There's a tavern there that we should meet up with tonight and discuss what's happened. And I can get you caught up as well. But it is... the tavern is called the Stargaze. The Stargaze Tavern. Sorry. In my excitement. Anyways, she hugs you again, gives you a kiss on the cheek. And Thomas
But
kind of like,
Arya,
Yeah.
where have you been staying?
we can get caught up on that later. It's a long story, and I'm sorry about the secrecy, but there's so much has happened, Melody. So much has happened. She kind of leans in so she can whisper into your ear. I think I know of a Faygate. There may be a way back. But don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. You can't tell anyone. And then she pulls away from your ear and then quickly runs off with Thomas, and leaving the five of you alone where the skiff is parked on the Skyport platform with kind of everything going on behind you.
So the Marcus, he's been ushered off somewhere else, correct?
Correct.
As he was being ushered off, I kind of nudge Borin and I'd say, "Remember that face." So just kind of, and I fill him in that his injuries don't seem to match with everything else that's been going on in the last hour or so.
How so?
It looked like someone attacked him with a spell of some sort. And he said he felt some sort of burning right ahead of the explosion.
You know, that captain was awful nice, but what better way to hide something if I was trying to usher somebody away to get them alone again? Shall we follow him?
You can see Captain Voss is over where they stage all the injured. He hasn't gone away. He's just over helping the people that were brought off the skiff and helping other people coming off the skiff as well. You can see that the Wild Mother Priestess is joined by a couple other priestesses and priests as well, as they're now focused on an area where most of the where most of the injured are being recovered. And there's maybe about 100 people over there.
I'll tell you what. Go ahead.
Sorry, I should say, if my sister is gone, I would definitely go over there to try and assist with the injured and maybe flirt with Captain Voss a little bit.
Oh, hello, the fawn. That makes 3 in one day.
I just think that was so impressive what you did earlier when you pulled me into the skiff. That was just
I have to be honest with you. I thought your friend, the gunslinger there, I thought he had dropped the other fawn. So I thought I was picking up the other fawn. And then, of course, there was another one on this. There's 3 of you, and 2 of you seem to know each other. But yes, you're welcome. I'm glad I was in the right place at the right time.
What's your workout routine? It just seems like you're super strong.
Oh, hard work, loading and unloading ships, stacking boxes. Give me a persuasion check, if you would, Melody, as you you're beginning to kind of nudge at the edge of Boss's vulnerability. Emerald Titan is yeah, flirt with Boss. That's how you do it.
That's a dirty 20.
Nice. He just kind of well, it's just thank you. This is awkward, but yes, my name is Captain Voss O'Hare. A pleasure to meet you. That is my airship. Oh yeah, of course. Kind of kisses your hand. That's very awkward. We don't really do that anymore around here, but that's kind of fun. Anyway, that's my ship over there. The copper coin. You see it right there. The big airship. Yes. Thank you. How are you? Are you okay? Is that your sister? I overheard you talking to earlier.
That's my twin sister. You couldn't tell?
Well, you are fawn. I don't want to sound rude. I'm not familiar with fawns and how they look, so I didn't want to presume that you were related. Sometimes that in itself can be taken quite harshly, but yes, I did notice a similarity. He's super nervous. He's kind of a bit sweaty. Like you get the feeling that he's more comfortable in like dangerous environments as opposed to this. And he's very awkward and kind of, although he's got that, that kind of like stoic look about him, he's also kind of caught a little off guard by this sudden attention as well.
Okay. After a while, I'll leave him alone and I'll go actually help some people.
Okay.
Is Karina next to them?
If you want to be, it's up to you guys. You're just all on the platform, kind of just watching all this unfold. It's still only mid-morning, believe it or not. Not a lot. It hasn't been a lot happened when you guys got up and headed over to the Ember Spire. So it's still pretty much early in the day, mid-morning. The fire seems to be gotten under control, although the smoke and the rescue efforts still to be ongoing over at the Smolder Spire. But things are beginning to kind of calm down a little bit.
Here, Eritrea.
The airship took somebody like Axion. Like we had a report that somebody important was on that airship earlier. I would love to ask him about that while we have him under Melody's spell, so to speak.
So you kind of, just as Melody is done talking to him.
I'm physically putting Melody there. I'm like, keep patting your eyelashes.
Gotcha. Like she's about to like go over to like treat some of the injured, and you're like, stay right there.
So you had that's a really beautiful airship. I've heard some really important people were writing it at some point. Do you want to maybe talk about that? And then I keep pushing her face at him.
Important people on my airship. That would be amazing if that was true. Well, it's a nice ship. It doesn't exactly attract any particular attention. I not very fancy. I'm a freight hauler. I haul freight between Jrusar and Bassaris in the Hellcatch Valley. Very lucrative, pays the bills, and affords me an opportunity to travel where I want.
Wow, that's so interesting. Karina also tried to. What kind of things do you move? What kind of things do you trade in?
Well, important things like canned beans, dried corn, rope, leather, bolts of fabric, the things that the merchants in Bassaris might need to either craft or make or sell things, I guess. I go half my life, can't get anyone to talk to me, and today it's suddenly, that
sounds really important.
Can I be honest with the two of you? I'm kind of more interested in talking with your good-looking friend there, Eritrea, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Wow! Damn. Yeah. Okay, Eritrea. He's information out of him.
I mean, he's hot. I mean, he's like super hot. I mean, you see him in the fire. I mean, with the smoke and the flame, it's like you could paint a picture with that. Maybe the two of you can, when all this is over, introduce me to him. That would be. And I'll tell you what I'll do. If you ever need to go into Bassaris, you can hitch a ride on my airship. I'd be glad to take you there.
Our friend would be glad to talk to you.
Oh my God, did you guys just pimp out Eritrea? Because the two of you and Captain Voss are like over amongst the recovered. Eritrea's off to one side, a Traumaton probably nearby, and Foreign kind of hovering in the background, secretly knowing, what had happened. But Voss goes, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to distract. Anyways, excuse me." And nervously, he just kind of breaks off the conversation and goes over to start helping the others taking care of people that are injured.
Man.
Melody is incredibly miffed. She's like,
yeah, mention this to anybody.
Well, now I don't want to help anybody.
Never mind.
Eritrea, you mentioned that guy. See if you can get one of my charms on him here, and I'll hand him off one of my braided.
Do I still have sight on Marcus?
Yes, you could see that he's currently sitting on like a makeshift cot. Like all these wooden cloth cots have been kind of set up for everybody. You could see acolytes of the different healing houses are here, kind of setting up the triage area. Actually, Eritrell, give me an insight check as you're watching where Marcus is sitting and watching all of this activity going on around you.
That's a 12.
12. You've been in Jrusar long enough to know that divinity doesn't play a major role here. It's actually kind of plays a minor role within Jrusar. There's only maybe a couple major there's only like a couple major houses that really kind of have a presence here. But you weren't aware that there was a Wild Mother temple here, but there is clearly a presence of Wild Mother acolytes, priests and priestesses. And they are obviously very responsive and got here pretty quickly. The only like religious connection that you've had so far is when Melody took you guys to the Dawn Fathers temple to find sanctuary. But even that place was pretty well muted. Not a lot of people were there. It was just kind of a small temple that treated those or would allow those that sought favor there. But there's not a lot of divinity here. So to see this much representation of the Wild Mother seems a bit odd, but definitely not what you'd expect here.
I want to go try to rush back over to Marcus, and I'm going to try to play it a little bit cool, and I ask him if he's a man of faith, or I kind of try to talk to him, but kind of very much so like a Church of Latter-day Saints person might approach somebody.
Hello, are you lost? Do you seek guidance?
Yeah, give me a persuasion check as you approach. And you have advantage because you did aid him for the most part.
Okay. That is a nat 20.
Nice.
Hey.
Total of
23.
23. Nice.
That's where the nat 20s go.
They always go to persuasion, never for combat. They never do. So, Eritrea, while you're working with Marcus, Melody and Karina, you're kind of standing together. Forn and Atraumaton, what are you two doing?
Trauma wants to verify the arcane interface that I'm plugged into. Can I remove that and effectively disable the skiff?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so I want to go ahead and kind of do that, and then just kind of, I kind of want to follow a few, dozen feet behind Forn, because, well, I don't know. Maybe someone's going to put out an APB looking for a Fey guy.
Okay. Give me a perception check as you look around at the Wardens that are currently like on the platform.
That is an 18.
Okay. There doesn't seem to be any specific effort to look for anybody. Like, it's mostly you're overhearing snippets of conversation about the tragedy. They're trying to figure out what happened. No one has any clue. It's also at that point, as you're keeping an eye on Forn, you look up to see the shadow of that large copper dragon kind of form, like circle up ahead. And all of you are suddenly jarred by the platform kind of like shaking under the weight as the dragon, sorry, not copper dragon, I pointed, brass dragon. As the brass dragon lands, you watch as a rider gets off the dragon and goes away from the dragon and kind of like goes to talk to some of the Wardens that are on the Skyport platform. You then watch as the dragon changes its shape. And this kind of a binary figure is standing there with long kind of brown hair. They are difficult to tell, but they have like very deep suntan skin. They're wearing very plain kind of clothing. But you notice that they begin to drift into some of the groups of injured around, and every now and then they lay their hand on a shoulder, and you watch as the person is like fully healed. And from your vantage point, Atrauton, since you're keeping an eye on Forn, you overhear a couple of the wardens whisper to each other,
"By God, that's Jamansa Ord. When did they get here?"
and you can see that the wardens are eager to like go over to where this person is, kind of keeping them protected, keeping people away, because people are starting to recognize this person and drift over to where they can see them. You watch as this mysterious figure kind of just, "It's all right. It's okay. I'm here to help. The fire is out. I've tasked some of my friends to begin to investigate what had caused it. I figured I might as well help as long as I'm here. As soon as I'm done here, I intend to meet with Chandei Quorum in regards to what has happened, and perhaps discuss further how to not allow this to happen again. Thank you. Please, everyone, for your own safety, if you're no longer injured, find your way from the Skyport platform and make your way to safer levels down below. If the gondolas are functioning, please do not go to the Ember Spire while the investigation is ongoing and while the retrieval of survivors is happening as well. Please, if you allow me to do my work," and you watch as the crowd kind of thins out. The wardens stay nearby to keep an eye on them. Before long, the other figure that had slid off of this person's back when they were a brass dragon, who goes by the name of Jamansa Ord, they're a very, very elderly looking tiefling. Bright blue skin. They look to be maybe in their late 90s and maybe topping over 100 years old. You can see that they are covered in the markings of, Eritrea, give me a religion check as you notice this blue-skinned female tiefling.
That is a 7.
7. You're not entirely sure what the markings mean, but they are of like a green cloak with white kind of translucent dots to represent eyes. And you hear the one figure call out, "Jester, is everybody okay over there?" And Jester goes, "Oh yes, everyone is good. I don't know how that fire started, but we will find it out. I assure you." And Jamansa Ord, good. Things are good here as well, shall we? You watch as Jamansa Ord finds a clearing on the skyport, turns back into their brass dragon form. The elderly blue tiefling climbs onto the back of Jamansa Ord, and then watch as they fly away down towards the smolder spire. It's becoming less chaotic. More of the normal noises of the city are returning. People are being escorted off the platform. Eventually, even the wardens pass by the 5 of you to kind of like, "Excuse me, we're going to need to clear the skyport. Please follow everyone to the exit." And there's a long line of wardens now kind of guiding those that can walk on their own accord and leave the skyport. There's maybe about a dozen injured that are left behind that are being very specifically treated by a couple of those from the Wild Mother.
Before we get cast off, I'm wrapping up a conversation with Marcus, and in my bumblingness, I hug him and I say "Gesundheit," and
hey, give me a sleight of hand if you would, please.
Yes.
As you put the charm somewhere in a pocket, or
a 9.
9. You tuck it into a front pocket, and he looks down and goes, "Oh, thank you for the gift." And thank you. Very well. Marcus kind of gets on his own feet. "I think I'll go and grab a drink now." And he's limping, but he kind of steps into line with the others that are being kind of escorted off the skyport.
I'm gonna try and track down a runner. I assume that there are people that deliver things randomly through the spires.
You grab onto somebody that looks to be just kind of here. You're not sure if they're a runner or they work here, but they kind of stop and go, "Yeah, what can I do for you?"
But I need to get something delivered to the core spire or the.
Oh,
or
well,
the
you
land
just take
spire.
it over there to that guy over there that runs the gondola message service. He'll take care of that for you.
Mucho obrigado, friend. And I'm gonna go.
Why
Walk
did you
over
call me a foul name? That was weird. Anyways, you watch as he kind of runs off. You go over to the little platform there and kind of a little female attendant. Yes, how can I help you, sir?
Hi, I need to make a delivery to the Spire by Fire. I've got this trinket, and I'm gonna wrap it up in an envelope and hand it to her. Please deliver this to the tavern keep there by the name of Ember Brew. If you would deliver the message with it as well, that this is from his bounty hunter friend with some good news.
Very well. That'll be 5 silver, please.
Certainly. I'll hand over the 5 silver.
Thank you. Kind of make some wax markings with it, and you watch as they go over to a small aviary that's attached to it. They open up one of the cages, pull out this very large owl. They strap it onto the leg of the owl. You watch as the person mutters something into the ear of the owl, and then the owl flutters off in the direction of the Spire by Fire.
I'll turn back around to the group, what's left of us, and if we're making our way out of here, the only really person I know on this spire is that animal handling friend of mine we spoke to yesterday. If anyone has any better ideas.
The Temple of Suni is on this spire. We could rest there for a little while. My sister said to meet her tonight at the Stargaze, which I think is also on this spire.
Which is a tavern on the Airy Spire, yes.
We could just also go hang out at the tavern and have a few drinks.
And I mean that with no offense at all, but I am not sleeping on the floor again. If I need to pay for a nice hotel, I will pay for a nice hotel. I don't care how much gold I have left. If anybody wants to go with me, do that.
I'm always down for a fancy hotel.
That sounds okay, good. No, security then. There's a place with a spa. I think we could all use a spa.
See, Trauma just rotates.
While I have you guys here,
patch of rust.
So I think I owe you an explanation of where you disappeared to, and then I do the explanation again.
Bum 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 bum.
Bum bum bum.
So the suspicions have been confirmed. It was a takeover. It's whoever those are, but it seems from what you're saying that it's unclear whether we're dealing with Trashy or with the Ivory Syndicate.
I mean, my sister's been here a couple of months and she thinks the Trashies are fine. So maybe they're fine. Maybe this is all just bad press. But it seems really weird that the Loomis household has Fae ingredients.
Yeah, and that they were kept by, potentially a changeling, which I don't know much about them, but there is certainly a chance that they have some kind of connection to the Fae, that they can bring things, that they can sell things. I mean, there have been rumors for a long time about whatever underground trade is happening. And I do believe that if we follow that thread, we might find a little bit more about where the real Alana Loomis might be amongst other humans who might have been replaced.
Are you sure that those ingredients that you saw weren't like Alondra's ingredients or Talions?
Can I do like a history check about the likelihood?
No, you get the feeling that they probably belong to your mentor. They were
Oh.
in her. They were in her. They were part of her supplies, part of her inventory that was in her room. So they definitely belong to Alondra.
Oh, okay. I thought it was belonged to the other person.
Nope.
Um,
They just whoever tossed the room just tossed things about in such a way that the the things that were hidden in cabinets or shelves were just tossed onto the ground.
It seems like it belonged to Alondra, which is not a favorable thing for the House of Loomis. I mean, it's unclear exactly what role the Ivory Syndicate is playing in all this and exactly what Alondra knew. I mean, she certainly had certain ideas that were untraditional and ambitious. It might... Honestly, who knows for how long she's been replaced. I think the point is that whatever has taken over the House of Loomis could have taken over other houses and could be planning on something big. And I would say that was the thing that stood out to me there. It might not be a big deal, it might be nothing, but if there is an underground trade, I would be curious on it. And also, sorry, just a sec.
It sounded like something fell.
Well, you do still have that skiff, right, Trauma?
Of course I still have the skiff. What would happen to that?
Just assuming you still had control of it.
But yes, I still have full control over the skiff for our purposes.
Is there like a fine to pay to leave it sitting here?
You see, Trauma just kind of like the gears whirring in his head, just like fine.
No, I'm just genuinely curious because everybody else is clearing off, but your skiff is still sitting here, and we do need to go somewhere, anywhere.
You make a good point. I just scuttle back and make like a really, really crudely done emblem of one of the hospital or organizations that are trying to help some of the wounded, and just patch it, like paste it on the front. Like this is like a child's, a 5-year-old's refrigerator drawing of whatever one of the guilds that are helping out is, and it is like spit stuck to the front of the prow.
Okay. Well, before all that happened,
Everything is official now.
Understood. Before all that happened, I did manage to make away with all the documentation that was inside of the warehouse that I could find. I'm quite exhausted still right now. My head is still throbbing. I'd realize that none of you care about that, and that's a good reason, so please don't hear my description of my pains as looking for sympathy. But I'm having a hard time focusing on what I want to do next. But I think we need to take a look at this documentation because I saw nothing in that warehouse that I thought would explode. I truly don't know what caused that chain reaction back there.
Why don't we go to the tavern and get a couple drinks?
What do you... I'm with Ford on this. I'll tag along. I imagine, arson works up quite a thirst.
My throat does feel pretty dry from all the smoke. I just think maybe a drink could help.
All right. Well, we're going to spend all day in this bar. You're not going to know who you are when your sister shows up. If it's anything like yesterday.
I got pretty good stamina. I think I'll be okay.
Okay. All right.
So with that, you guys head out of the skyport and begin to descend down towards the landing known as the Ascension's Rise. Let's go ahead and take our 5-minute break, and when we come back, we'll do the second half.
Sure. I'm so curious what that sound was now. It sounded like, I don't know. I was just saying, I thought it sounded kind of like dice on the floor or on a table or something. But
Something.
Feel like a plastic fork. Oh, is that Doc's toes?
Yeah, Doc and Bigby are chasing each other around.
ah,
I was gonna say that sounds kind of like
Yeah.
animal claws on linoleum.
Sabrina, you okay? You there was a loud thump and then you had to take off.
Yeah, my roommate needed me to move my car.
Oh, okay.
Very
Hey, Callie, move your goddamn car!
not even that far from reality. But yeah, perks of LA. Nobody has parking ever.
No, yeah, perks of LA.
Yeah.
You're very right. You gotta come all the way out to the Riverside County area to find parking, and then you take the train back into LA.
Very
Okay.
true.
God.
With that, you guys descend out of the Skyport area, and here you're seeing a very large place of academia. There's a tower at its center, and at the very top of this very tall tower that sticks out off the side of the walkway, this tower is maybe 100 feet tall. And on top of it, you could see this strange device pointing up at the sky, almost like it's designed to look into the stars and the heavens up above. In the large fairgrounds surrounding this tower, you could see universities and academia buildings and the very heart of the Ascension's Rise, which is known for its academic structure. For those of you from Campaign 1, this would be the location of where a certain group of academics had come from within that campaign. So all those within Marquet who study the natural world, the arcane world, and divinity to a certain extent come from this location.
super trustworthy. Super trustworthy.
Built up
If they
around
invite you
it,
into their mansion, definitely go.
You should go for sure.
I'm just
Built
going to
up
continue
around
to
it.
play a very welcoming character that just walks into situations like that. Naive.
Academics in this
see-
world are not to be trusted.
you can see flower shops and bakeries and little merchant shops and curio shops and kind of tucked. It has that, in a contemporary sense, it has that university town feel. You know how there's always that big university there and then like these little towns that kind of pop up around it. All these like shops and boutiques, and the Airy Spire is definitely about as elite as the Core Spire. While the Core Spire is the home of the house guilds and the richer families, and then the Chandei Quorum sits up high within the administrative complex of the Core Spire. Here in the Airy Spire, because it is actually the tallest of the spires because of the skyport, and it's known to be a haven for skyships that traverse in and out of the Marquet continent, either going towards Vasselheim, up towards Amon, and sometimes towards Nicodranus and Rexentrum. This level of the Ascension's Rise, there's a lot of shopping here and a lot of other kind of activity that's available here. And right outside where this giant tower is, there's a big open air tavern called the Stargazer. And you can tell that its canopy is currently folded out and open to provide shade from the sun. But it looks like at night, these canopies can be pulled back into like a central part of the tavern and folded away, allowing this open air tavern to have kind of like a vantage up at the night sky from this point. Currently, the hustle and bustle is a bit more muted. Not a lot of people. Most of the people have gone over to the gondolas to either go look at the Smolder Spire or go up in this direction of the skyport to get to the taller verandas to be able to look down towards the smolder spire to see what's going on. A lot more looky-loo activity. However, the five of you kind of get to the little steps to take you up into the tavern itself. There is a kind of gentle giant type over behind the bar. There's only maybe a handful of people here. It's mostly empty. And the bar is like the main bar where the Goliath is, currently tending it. And then the tables are barrels with round tops. Most don't have chairs. You just kind of stand around them and drink or eat. And you hear the Goliath, feel free to find your spot where you'd like. It's not busy today. Things happening. Anyways, can I get you lot anything? A beer, a whiskey, a cordial, or a wine? Anything in particular you'd like?
Just some hot water with a lemon in it.
Okay, glass of water. That's gonna just make me a millionaire. Anybody else? What would you like?
I'll get a Cosmo.
What the fuck is a Cosmo? What is that like? Could you elaborate? Maybe.
What is, sir? What is just like sort of your pinkest, sparkliest drink with the most accessories?
My pinkest, most sparkliest drink.
Yes.
With accessories.
Mm-hmm.
He looks around. He pulls like this yellow liqueur off the shelf, pours it into a tankard, looks around, picks up a bunch of like pieces of fruit and vegetables and drops it in, and
vegetables.
Best I could do. Here you go.
Thank you.
It's a lemon cordial. Maybe you like it. I don't know. Don't know.
I'll give it a try.
Yeah, you drink it. It's sweet and sour. It's okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Anybody else? Oh yeah, water with lemon. Not really sure we expect me to find a lemon.
Hot water with lemon, please.
Hot water with lemon, of course, Your Majesty. Here you go. Your hot water with lemon. Anybody else?
I'll have a mug of house ale.
Here you go, sir. Take it your giant robot thingy doesn't drink.
You got any like
there.
lubricants? He would drink a lubricant. If
My best lubricant I have is whiskey.
Anything oily?
The best oil I have is whiskey.
Kind of like glance over at Trauma.
Alcohol is a solvent. Why are you trying to give it to me as a lubricant?
It can react. It's reactionary.
And pretty boy there, what can I get you?
I take a sip of Melody's drink and I go, I'll have one of those.
It's gonna be one of those days. Smolder Spire catches on fire, and I got people ordering pink drinks. Okay, here you go, buddy. Anyway, that'll be 6 silver for the lot of you.
I'll pay for the table.
Okay. You guys got to gather up your drinks. Go to it's an open, it's like a big giant veranda patio that's kind of currently the sails are all out for shade. You kind of go pick one of the barrel tables near the back end to kind of allow you to see what's going on, but while at the same time, giving you some privacy as you guys kind of all gather around to drink and discuss the day. As it is now, we'll say it's late morning, early afternoon.
I'm gonna pull the parchments that I had that I've taken off the tables in the warehouse because I didn't look at any of them. I just grabbed them and
you just grabbed them and stuffed them and ran. Yeah.
I'm gonna get them out and start spreading them out on the table while we're all around it.
Okay.
So before the event, I snatched up all the parchment I could find. All of these here were on a separate table, and then these lot here I pulled off of the distillation table that I strongly recommend next time not kicking, because again, I have massive headache right now. That stuff put me back in the Feywilds. So there's a stack of stuff that came from like a separate table, and then there's a smaller stack that was on the distillation table, that's the one I'm going to focus on looking at first.
Okay. Give me investigation. And because you put all the documents on the table, anybody interested in looking at what Foreign has kind of excuse me, put on the table, you can make investigation checks as well.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
Let's see what my
Man,
investigation.
it's a natural 1, so it's 1 + 5, so it's a 6.
6. Okay.
All right. I got a 17. I'd like to look at the distillation notes that Foreign's looking at.
Okay.
I got an 8.
8. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Can I look specifically for anything that has to do with trade within those, or are these just chemical documents?
they mostly appear to be ingredients, chemical documents, and notes on combining the ingredients. Very extensive alchemical notes for the most part. What'd you
Are
get,
any
Melody?
Ingredients.
I rolled a nat 1 and I have a -1, so I got a 0.
Okay, you're like, oh, pretty pictures.
That's amazing.
So what else were you looking for, Karina, in the notes?
Ingredients that might be Fey body parts.
For that, give me a nature check as you kind of pan the notes a little differently.
Okay, I'm giving up on this dice, and I want this
You
dice.
call
to
that dice jail. You put it
Oh.
inside of a cup or inside of a jail, and you treat it harshly. And every day you walk past it, you go, bad dice. Bad
yes,
dice.
until it thinks about what it just did to me.
Yes.
Nature.
Yes.
Okay, 18. It's
18.
thinking.
Yeah. While most of the pages don't really make that much sense to you, they're very complex alchemical ingredients. You can tell that Foreign's even struggling. Melody's like, pretty pictures, look, pretty pictures, you know. And Eritrio's kind of rifling through the papers. Traumaton every now and then kind of like uses his like heavy appendages to shift through the papers and also kind of look at what Foreign is kind of shuffling through as well. You notice that there are ingredients that kind of match what you saw in Alara's room. You run your finger and like everything you saw in the room that was visible at the time are on this list. You get the feeling that this place that you guys found may have been the source of where Alara might have gotten them from. Traumaton, the chemical formula that you're seeing, while it doesn't seem to resonate with the others, it does resonate with you. It is a very severe toxin-like chemical that is very poisonous, very deadly, and it is made of rare componentry. And you also recognize the notes in regards to Seraphis powder. Seraphis powder is a mold. It's described as a mold that is gathered from coffins and is used as the basin of a toxin. Anybody who would consume this toxin would have a high degree of delusion and then eventually a slow and painful death. So they'd almost go into like a delusional state, fall into a catatonic state, and then would have a very long, lingering, kind of emaciating death.
Do we know of anybody who has died after having a weird psychotic episode?
And how's
Not
Foreign?
recently, no.
We know somebody had a psychotic episode.
Is Foreign looking? I mean, I know he's got 2 levels of exhaustion, but is he looking like he's getting progressively worse?
Not particularly, no. You get the feeling that the Seraphis powder was just one component of many components before it would be turned into the toxin.
Okay.
So at worst, it just gave him a bit of lethargy and exhaustion. Had he been exposed to those liquefied drums that blew up in the explosion, that would have been a very different question and answer.
Okay.
All but one drum is with trauma.
Yeah, one drum is currently with trauma. And trauma, you would recognize that you have a small metal drum, like a small pony keg, like one of those little tiny store-bought kegs that is filled with this toxin.
Okay. Good to know. I'm sure, an evil robot couldn't possibly do anything with that. No.
I'm still not convinced that you're an evil robot yet. We'll get there. We'll get there.
It's session 3. I can't stab forward in the back yet, damn it. It has an ultimate episode shit.
So when you saw the explosion happen, and sorry to make you think of that again, did it feel like there were a lot of, explosives hidden in multiple warehouses in that area?
You definitely get that vibe, Foreign.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
there was
it was
not.
just supposed to be a fire.
Actually, Foreign, when Karina brings that up, give me an insight check.
Okay.
While he's doing that, could I maybe just pull up the keg? Because the keg I got's like covered. I know it's filled with this stuff, but it was not well cleaned, right? It's not like a clean
Well, it was covered with the
there's
pink
crap
dust.
on the outside of it.
Right, it was covered with like a dust around it.
Okay.
And that was a 22 on my insight check.
Okay. As the Traumaton pulls out the small metal drum of the liquid toxin, Foreign, you begin to realize you never really took an opportunity to investigate all those crates of baked goods. It's quite possible somebody was smuggling explosive powder in those crates.
We did talk to somebody who was trading in food.
I only took a cursory look around, so I just assumed that whatever was in the crates matched what we saw on the outside of the crates. I apologize, I didn't open it up and take a look before making the decision to start the fire, but we are where we are now. Melody, I am very sorry again about your sister. That was not my intention at all.
I'm grateful she's okay. I still don't totally understand why you did what you did, but I know you didn't mean it.
Look, when we were in the warehouse, I saw all the distillation things. I took the parchments and I kicked over the distillation table. I had the impression that this was some kind of a narcotics operation, a drugging operation. And I believe Trio, we discussed it, and you thought perhaps they were mixing some of that material in with the baked goods that were there. We thought this was a bad idea and thought we would just burn down this warehouse.
Yes.
Again, it was just supposed to be a warehouse of baked goods. It wasn't supposed to explode.
It's like that chunk of the city was like laced with explosives or something.
What caused that secondary explosion? I mean, the first explosion makes sense. The first explosion, well, it doesn't make sense, but it was only in one place. I don't know what else could have blown up later.
We talked to Sarai, and she told us she wasn't working on diamonds anymore, and she was being paid immense amounts of money to create a liquid explosive. So I assume that was her workshop that blew up. She gave us a demonstration, and it doesn't require a light or anything. She just threw it, and there was an enormous explosion.
Did she mention who ordered all of this? It was Trashy, right?
She told us.
She said it was a person that she described. She didn't know their name, but she described the person
Bald
that
head,
you know to
white
be,
beard.
Aquinon, and that it was for a large order to be delivered to Bassaris within the Hellcatch Valley.
So, Trauma wasn't there because I was lost trying to find.
Correct. Yeah.
Whatever. So, can I I want to try to scrape off a little bit of the liquid that's on the outside of the barrel, and they mentioned that it didn't need anything to set it alight; it could just be thrown.
Well, what you have is a toxin.
Yeah, I was talking about the substance outside of the barrel.
The pink dust that was on the outside of the barrel.
Yeah, I was curious if that might. I want to see if that that may have some trace of that chemical in it. So
yeah, give me a sleight of hand as you do that.
Right. I'm gonna back away. As soon as he starts scraping that pink dust, I back away because that's what did not treat me well.
That is, what are you? That is an 18.
Yeah, you get the feeling that what you're scraping off the metal container is the Seraphis powder.
You see me kind of shake my head, just like, nah, and they just flick it at Thorn.
Thorn like ducks as the dust goes right over him. And the dust goes over you, Thorn, and like settles over a halfling that's kind of, over just having a bowl of soup and drinking his tankard. And he suddenly jumps up, gets on the table, takes off all of his clothes, yells at the top of his lungs, and just goes running naked out into the streets.
Man, we really need to work on our, not standing out stuff. It's like be responsible with a super drug.
I'm just going to point out, no one saw me do anything to a halfling.
You are an evil robot.
Yeah.
The Seraphim powder. Where would one get that? That feels very specific. I mean, you mentioned that it's something that you can cultivate from dead bodies. Is there a place you think somebody might be able to skim some of that really specific mold?
I'm going to stare at Trauma. I think one of us knows more about dead bodies than anybody else.
Why would you assume that? I assure you, after today's events, your body count is higher than mine.
Oh, D6 inspiration. That was good. That was a good dig.
If I was the evil type, I might think you were jealous.
No, mine comes from skill and craft. Yours was getting high and setting a warehouse on fire.
Look, you would be better at killing anybody. You talk about it all the time. I only assumed you would know more about where dead bodies would be kept than I might.
What did you think I did under my previous employment? I enforced.
I'm not the only one here that's heard him talking about dead bodies and killing people all the time, threatening to kill me all the time.
I'm gonna take that as a no then.
Like as Trauma and Ford are going back and forth with the digs, I would say give me a history check while you're thinking about this, Karina.
And also, do I have any connections in this academic setting? It feels like maybe I'd have anybody.
Not directly. All your connections were with House Loomis.
Worth a try. Oh, okay, 20.
20. Nice. Because of the limited amount of space, they don't entomb, enshrine, or bury those that pass away within the city of Jrusar. Their bodies get taken to one of the few, there's the Temple of the Dawn Father, there's a small Wild Mother Temple, and there's maybe one or two other small temples. Their bodies get interred there and then are cremated, and their ashes are kind of released into the winds off of Jrusar through different ceremonies, depending on, if you're associated to a family or house. Wherever the Seraphis powder came from, you don't get the feeling it came from Jrusar. It might have come from somewhere else outside of Jrusar.
Okay. Let me know what you think of these plans. So, I believe that we kind of should act fast, because if they have just lost a large amount of whatever narcotic they're creating, they might be in a rush to create more of it now, for whatever reasons they need it. If we wait in the location that you mentioned, we might be able to see who's cultivating it and kind of follow that thread for a while. I would like at least for myself, because I feel like I've been drawing a little too much attention to myself in relation to this, especially after today. I would like to check into a really fancy hotel where I can be seen and then just escape hidden and wait in one of those places for a little bit, and see what I can get. And I don't mention it, but I'd also like to send a message to my parents and ask for more money. I love this.
What subterfuge?
Well, again, I am very concerned about what my master has gotten into. I'm certainly concerned with what she has done. And so...
You think this Seraphis powder is related to what's going on with your family?
They're not really my family. They have just been kind enough to adopt me and take care of me while I'm here. I know they have issues and certainly a lot of imperfections, but right now I am mostly concerned about them. I mean, we still don't know where Alondra is. We don't know what had caused this takeover. We don't know how grand the takeover even is. We don't know if other houses have been taken over beforehand. We do know that somebody is collecting weapons and narcotic en masse. It seems like a bad time to rest. So that's what I'm planning to do. If any of you would like to come with me, please do so, but I also understand if you have other priorities at the moment.
Would I intuit that the message sent to Ember Brew would have arrived by now?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Can I scan around outside of the tavern real quick and just look for an open meeting spot, like an open place where I could describe clearly a shop or something that I could meet, that like if I wanted him to meet us somewhere or meet me somewhere.
Give me a perception check as you look around.
There it is. That is a 22.
There's a small shop right on the edge of the Stargazer called the Airy Curio Shop. It's kind of a touristy place where they seem to sell kind of like little toy airships and like little knickknacks and statues and things that represent the Airy Spire, the Skyport, just kind of a little curio shop right there.
Then I'll use my trance to send a message to the token that I sent to what's supposed to go to Ember Brew, assuming it goes to him.
Yep.
And I'll send the message and say, hello, friend, it's me, Fawn. I'd like you to meet me at the Airy Curio on the Airy Spire. You and your orc friend may be in danger. I'd advise you both come.
And they're able to respond back, right?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
But I was gonna wait a couple of minutes and then burn the token and actually do the see and hear. To that way I can confirm whether or not it's Ember Brew or somebody else.
Okay.
Yep.
You see an image of Ember Brew talking to a familiar orc, and they seem to be discussing about going to the Airy Curio Shop.
Okay, good. I'm going to stay sitting in the bar then and just watching the Airy Curio, watching for them to show up.
Karina, now that you guys have had some relaxing time to think about your choices, in the kind of more posh area of the spires, the spire known as the Lucent Spire, there is a spa and recovery kind of place that you know about. It's called the Diamond Horizon, and it's a high-end bathhouse, is what it is.
Sounds like fun.
Ooh.
You're gonna see your sister again after a long time. I know that you already have fuller hair and better clothes, but why not really rub it in?
Yeah, I'm totally down.
Also, there's a high-end boutique in the Lucid Spire called the Golden Veil, which kind of reminds you that you guys have an auction to attend. I think it's this evening.
Tomorrow. It's 2 days.
Tomorrow evening.
Yeah.
Yes. tomorrow evening.
Well, no disaster is so urgent that one should abandon civility. Also, I know you're going to talk to your sister later today. You mentioned a little bit about what she's been up to. And I kind of tell her to that a little bit, like when everybody disperses or converses about something else. Would you mind asking her about any disappearing humans? I've had some old friends who have been rumored to be taken by the Fae, and if there is a connection between the Fae and this world, it might be somehow connected. I feel bad if I didn't ask.
Sure. Is there anything I can tell her about them? Maybe they're part of the group that she's been helping to shelter.
It's been about 10 years now, so they might not look the same. It was the daughter of one of the nobility. I haven't met her in person, but I know her family has been grieving for a long time, and, well, I'd be amiss if I didn't ask.
Yeah, of course I'll ask.
And I am lying. Do I need to do a performance check, or is it...
I mean, they're not technically giving you, they're not insight checking you, so no, you're fine. As far as you're concerned, they believe you. Now, if evil was on your shoulder in rat form, kind of like laughing alongside you, that might be a little bit more awkward, but evil's not here, so.
Nice.
Melody is probably like fairly trusting to her detriment, so she's like,
Perfect.
Well, also she's talking spa, so.
Yeah, I mean, and I assume hopefully she's bankrolling it because Melody does not have cash.
I'm bankrolling it, and in the spa or in the fancy place, I assume there is like some kind of like communication service through which I can try and contact my parents too.
Yeah, fair enough.
Does anybody else want a spa treatment? We'll all be much sharper.
Absolutely.
Spa afternoon?
A traumaton, looking at you, I know you could shine even brighter.
I mean, do they have a detail service for non-organics?
Of course, it's a high-end spa.
I mean, just kind of, okay. Why not?
Yeah, hell yeah. Forn?
Absolutely. Spa day!
I'm gonna wait here for Ember Brew and his friend.
Your loss.
Maybe.
So as the four of you kind of get up from, or already standing around the table, you finish your bizarre drinks that you ordered, and your now tepid water with lemon, and the four of you head out of the Stargazer Tavern and out into the busy or sparse streets of the Airy Spire, heading in the direction of the gondola that will take you up and over, back behind the core spire and towards the Lucent Spire. Forn, you linger in the tavern for a solid hour while the others are gone. You look over to see Ember Brew. His orc friend is not with him, but Ember Brew walks and stands in front of the curio shop, waiting patiently.
I'll take a look around first, and then approach. Like, if seeing that it doesn't look like anyone's being followed or anything, I'll approach him.
Okay. Ooh, it made it big.
Ooh, real big.
What did it do that for? See the great kind of red flaming hair, and he's just standing there minding his own business, and sees you kind of approach him. Hey, boy. He kind of looks at you because you're still kind of with 2 points of exhaustion.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you involved in that mess across the way there?
How about we go somewhere and talk about this? And I kind of like motion him back over to the tavern.
Hey, I could always use. Oh, yes, the Stargazer. They have this amazing drink called the Cosmopolitan. I'm gonna try it. Kind of like guides you up, and
Yep.
You see the big Goliath. Hey, Ember Brew, good to see you, mate. Hey, can I get one of those cosmopolitans? Hey, if you wouldn't mind. Yeah, of course. You might want to try this one too. And he pours another one of those yellow cordial drinks with like all the fruit and additives to it, and brings 2 of them over. And hey, no courtesy of a fellow tavern owner, not to worry. So, Fawn, to business then. What you and your friends been up to? You look a bit starchy and a bit smoky, to say you clearly were involved in what was going on over there.
Yes, it was quite the accident, wasn't it? Now, friend, your 2 associates that you were speaking to the other night took us to the Loomis House Loomis. They are no longer.
Well, believe it was your friend Karina that took them to House Loomis as well.
Well, correct. But anyway, all of us were going to escort the diamonds to House Loomis.
And how did that go? Did they get safely vaulted and everything is okay, I hope?
I don't know about the vault part. I know we made it to House Loomis. I know my companion handed off the diamonds. And as we were all settling in for the night, House Loomis came under attack. We fought off the attackers, but upon searching the room for our 2 compatriots from the Corsairs, they had both been poisoned. They were dead.
Fascinating. Ivory Syndicate, maybe.
That's my suspicion. There's a
that would be a bold move for them. They would never move directly against 2 that were so highly positioned within the Hubatt Corsairs. That would be a tantamount to open gang war in the streets of Jrusar. That's quite unheard of.
Well, now you understand why I expressed my concern that you and your compatriot may be in danger if you've had dealings with them before.
Well, I've had many dealings with them before, and others as well. Look, as a smuggler and someone who gets involved with couriers, I deal with. I've dealt and done business with the Ivory Syndicate as well. I mean, in this business and in this city of Jrusar, you are forced to have to do business with those that might be more or less unsavory than the others. It's just the nature of things, Fawn.
No,
as a bounty hunter, I would imagine you'd be aware of that.
I certainly understand. I still would like to express my concern. As well, that patron who came in as a male, but apparently left all their belongings as a Regina Green, I believe. We found some more information on her as well, and she is also someone to not be trifled with.
My merchant friend has been asking around about this so-called Regina Green. Evidently, they died some time ago, so we can only assume that this name has been taken in falsehood, a moniker, or to be used for deceptive purposes. Whoever this person is, they are quite crafty, good at changing their appearance, and left behind just enough to keep us interested, but also take the life of someone that was sent there for a specific purpose.
How familiar are you with a person named Aquinon? Bald head, white beard, big scar down one side of his face.
Hey, sorry. Does not ring a bell to me from a standpoint of name. That physical appearance, neither. Not familiar, sorry.
Can I roll insight on that?
Sure.
Not great. That's a 12.
Feels like he tells the truth, doesn't know.
Yeah. Well, Ember Brew, perhaps I have wasted your time to bring you all the way here in the event to keep you safe. You were nothing but good to me back there at the Spire by Fire, but I'm afraid I may not be able to return to that place. I was hoping perhaps we could come to some sort of an arrangement, and perhaps you could take up new residence over here in the Airy Spire.
You're free to do whatever you'd like to do. If you don't want to keep your rooms over at my place, the Spire by Fire. You wish to stay here at the Eddie Spire? It's your business, not mine.
No, sir. I mean, moving your place of business.
No, that won't be happening. Sorry.
Fair enough.
The amount of wealth and the amount of time I spent establishing myself in the core Spire, far too difficult for me to relocate. Besides, for me to relocate means that I have to pay new taxes and get to know new influential people within the Eddie Spire. And their politic and mine may not meet in the middle, if you get my meaning.
Understood. If you do have any contacts over here that may be friendly to our current predicament, I would greatly appreciate it.
Well, on that note, Foreign, what is your current predicament?
Well, I've got some insider information about a particularly dangerous toxin that may or may not have been present at the explosion within the Smolder Spire, as well.
Why do I get the feeling that you're not telling me the whole truth about what happened at the Smolder Spire, Foreign?
The whole truth is complicated, Ember Brew. It's a small situation that got out of control very quickly.
Aye, very well. So, you and your friends have come across something very interesting, correct?
Yes.
And this point of interest may have some nefarious notes attached to it.
Correct.
Now, your current predicament is what to do with this information, then.
Well, the Hubatt Corsairs seem to have abandoned their original outpost. So I don't have a way to contact any of them outside of there.
Unfortunately, there is rumor that a rather large contingent of Ivory Syndicate figured out where they were hiding, and they moved in a hurry. No one's quite sure where they relocated to.
If you have any leftover contacts from the Corsairs, hand them off one of these, and then get a message back to me. And I'll hand them off one of my trinkets.
Curious, Fawn. Why are you so interested in this? There's no bounty here. There's no wealth. Why bother? Why not go to the lit boards and pick up a warrant? Go hunt down somebody who's dangerous and collect the bounty. Why this? Why are you so focused on this?
I'm hung up on it now. But, you talk about there maybe some trafficking in satyr horns and other items like that.
It's a dark world we live in, but ever since the collapse of the Fae, these things have obtained higher value, more importance. They are so rare to be found that, like all things of rarity, their cost has gone up.
Right, so there's now a close companion of mine who fits the description of something that may be rare and costly now, and I would like to not see her befall some vile end.
Well, then you should keep a close eye on her. Jrusar is not a place where you can make guarantees.
Well, I thank you anyway, Ember Brew. I may send some procured items your way. Perhaps you could...
that would be helpful. Smuggling business is still a business. He kind of steps away from the table and then looks back at you. Fawn, you realize that you get into the politic of this city, it's just as likely to get into you as well. You better watch your back. If what you say is true, and there's been a move on the Hubatt Corsairs within the confines of House Loomis, and there's a reason for that. And that reason may be to bring an open warfare within the streets of Jrusar. Somebody is vying for power and position when these things happen. And the easiest way to make sure that your position is secured is to make sure you don't leave behind any witnesses. You get my meaning?
Absolutely get your meaning. Again, Hence my concern for you, friend.
Oh, you needn't be concerned about me, lad. You leave all the concern about you and your friends. I have survived far worse. I've been through many open wars before in the streets. One point, it's the Ivory Syndicate, the Hubatts, the Wardens take over the streets for a while and make good money for the Chandei Quorum. This city is bereft of a clear moral path. For as long as the houses run it and the council is paid for by the houses, there is nothing here but profit. For those that are willing to be okay with less than dubious meanings of their livelihood. Perhaps, Vaughn, your only difficulty is being sure you're ready to choose sides when it becomes important.
That may be the case. He tips his hat. I would like to insight check that last bit as well.
Yeah, go for it.
Whether or not he's playing us up, and that was 19 plus 4, 23.
Yeah, as he walks away after that last bit, you get the feeling that Ember Brew is deeper in the network than you originally thought. He just gave you both information and a warning at the same time. He definitely knows more than what he's telling you.
I'll watch him. I'll watch him like turn the corner, and then I'll kind of try and go around a parallel side just to kind of get a view and see if he continues off to the gondola or if he goes to stop off somewhere else.
Okay. So as you begin to follow him, are you being stealthy?
I don't want him to find me, so yeah.
Okay, give me a stealth check.
Ha! Nope. That's a nat 1.
Okay. You run into a stack of barrels on the edge of the Stargazer, and immediately you catch Ember Brew looking back directly at you. He just smiles at you and then disappears into the crowd.
I'll send a message to Trauma and Karina separately because they both have a token on them.
Okay.
I feel we can't trust Ember Brew fully, but he did leave some information and a veiled threat. Enjoy your spa treatment.
As you guys make it over to the Lucent Spire, stepping off the gondola, here in the Lucent Spire, it is very different than the other places that you've been. Everything is bright, overdone colors. The shops are all dressed up. You walk by the Golden Veil. There's a series of personal attendants that kind of just nod towards you as you go by it. You eventually find this massive building, this beautiful marble structure that is surrounded by gardens of bright color and kind of intricate design as well. And there it is, like just this place just jutting out in the middle of this. You see the diamond horizon, which is this emblem of a diamond and this burst of horizon like arcane energy that's kind of pulsing to gather people's attention. And you could see all of these very like good looking attendants that are standing in front of it. And you know, people arrive and they guide them inside. You can also see the open air baths that are like these springs and sulfur like springs, and people are kind of laughing and swimming in the background. You can see people lying out on towels and blankets talking to each other. You can see people lying on tables and their shoulders and backs being worked on by attendants. This one particular individual sees the four of you arrive, kind of furrows their eyebrows over at Atraumaton as if confused as to why you brought your construct with you. But the attendant kind of turns her attention to the three of you and rests her eyes kind of on Eritrea for a brief moment of contemplation. I am Jason.
Good to meet you. Do you require the services of the Diamond Horizon today?
Yes, that's what we're here for.
Good. Jason Mia is here to serve. What would you like? Would you like the sauna, the spa, the pools of refreshment? Do you require a physical attendant? Meals, baths? What? We do currently have a half day's market price of a little bit of everything if you want to pay for the 4 hours of attendance.
Yeah, sure, that sounds good. I mean, we're kind of on a limited time schedule anyway, so I guess we'll just do the half-off thing. Though we could totally afford the full thing.
Half
It's really
day.
going out of my way there.
Well, it's a half day because there's only a half day left, of course. I did not mean any disrespect. Let's see. Your mechanical friend, we don't really have services that cater to the mechanics. I mean, they are more than free to remain in the reception area and move around with you if you choose. I'm assuming this is your personal attendant?
Not quite, but close enough.
Yeah.
Do you know of a place that can do that?
There is the Tinkerer's shop down the street, the Oil Pot, I believe it is called. A very excellent individual runs that place and can service your construct. And he does look a bit rusty, sooty, and smoky. They may even be able to get rid of that dent in the panel of their head if you'd like them to.
Atamatron, would you like to kind of chill with us and get a seaweed mask, just kind of for the hell of it? Or would you like to go to the mechanics? You're on mute.
I just unmute. Sorry, laptop. It's weird, but you can almost hear like Atamatron is fighting not to audibly say "deception program activated" or something similar. Oh, excuse me, mistress. This location doesn't seem to have anything to cater towards me. If it wouldn't be too out of sorts, I believe I will head down to the Tinkerer's shop and see if they can put me right after that fire. I do seem to be covered in rust these days.
Yeah, take care of yourself.
Attendant's like, oh my, I didn't mean to upset you. I do apologize. Unfortunately, we just don't have the facilities for...
No, sir. It's fine. It's my mistress here is on top of my maintenance schedule, but did you happen to see what happened in the smolder spire today? I was down running an errand, and, well, now look at me.
Yes, look at you. Yes, the oily pot. The young man there, a good friend of mine, goes by the name of Casper. Seek him out, and I'm sure he will do his utmost to repair and bring you back to operational standards.
Treat yourself.
Oh, thank you, mistress. I assume that you'll no longer need me in this setting. Shall I meet you back here in, say, 2 hours?
Sounds perfect. Just give them, just get me the bill, or we'll go meet you there, and I'll pay the bill for it. And you, and I look at the attendant, will compensate us for having limited facilities for my party and forcing us to split. So this is our hangout day.
Give me persuasion or intimidation, your choice.
I will give the help action by just looking like so unimpressed.
Yeah, I love it. You have advantage.
Okay, starting at a 17.
Okay.
And staying on a 17.
Well, of course, my sincerest apologies. If the three of you would be kindly to follow me, I will guide you towards the beginning of your... and you know what? I will deduct 3 platinum off the cost as well. For the 3 services for the 3 of you, that is going to be 15 platinum apiece with a reduction of 3, so 12. That'll be 36 platinum for the 4-hour treatment.
So here's the fun question. How much money do I actually have? I gave myself about 400 gold in the beginning, assuming that sounds more or less fair, but...
Yeah, I mean, this half day... I mean, you also have that diamond,
which you haven't really cashed in yet. I would say you have roughly about 500 gold, which would be the equivalent of 50 platinum.
Okay, not bad. I think I can manage without having to run away at the end of this.
I can throw in my diamond as well. That's worth 100 gold or 10 gold.
Which diamond? The one that Karina gave you?
Well, Karina is trying to maintain the illusion.
No, the enchanted diamonds are worth 1,000 gold apiece.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's 100 platinum?
That would be 100 platinum.
Oh, okay.
But it may be a little suspicious if you try to trade in a single, like, mastercrafted diamond.
We may need to take that to a pawn shop or something.
Okay, so it's all good. Again, Karina is like a noble family, but not the biggest deal of a noble family, but she would like for everyone to assume that she is, like the big dog.
You pony over the 36 platinum for the treatment. Chasen Mir she takes you guys back to a changing room with wooden shelves and little padlocks on these little cupboards that are in there.
Actually, sorry, before we started, you mentioned that they would have a way for me to like probably some kind of communication service, they
have aviaries here, so they have owls.
So I guess I'll do it through them because they're probably okay guarded and not too obvious.
And food, drink, and communication services are comped, of course.
So just sending an owl to my parents, being like, "Wow, this was really traumatizing today. Can you send me more money?" Really milking it.
Completely milking it. Give me persuasion on that as you kind of write out the note.
That's a 9.
Okay. We'll see how that goes. She takes the note and we'll go take care of that. The three of you are in a common space. There are naked forms coming and going, either wrapped in towels or in robes, just kind of, and you could smell sulfur and salt and the smell, how a spa kind of has that kind of over salty perfumey smell. So that kind of is pungent and in the air. You guys take off all your equipment. You're given robes. And Chazen just kind of looks at the three of you. So, what shall you enjoy first? Would you like the physical therapy? Would you like to go into the springs? The natural baths? The interior baths? Where could Chazen take you next?
I'd like a bath and then a hoof shine and a manicure and a blowout. And then maybe we can take it from there, depending on how much time we have. Of course. Please follow me. And she kind of guides Melody towards one of the it's like a wooden an overstuffed chair. There's a female form sitting on the stool and kind of get guided into the chair, and your experience begins. And she's chatting with you and working on your hooves and kind of just going back and forth. Jason looks at both Eritrea and Karina. Where would you two like to start your experience next?
I'd like a trip to the sulfuric sauna.
Of course. A good sweat and a good purification of the skin is always a good start of any afternoon. And your friend?
I would like to just start with a full body massage, if that's possible.
Absolutely. Karina, it was, of course. Follow me. So what was your name?
Eritrea.
I have the perfect masseuse for you. The two of you will follow me. With Melody off to one side, Eritrea and Karina, you get taken to one of the sauna locations, which is a big stone room with a center steaming fire that kind of fills the room. There's other individuals here kind of going through the lodge-like sweat and kind of enjoying the sauna. And you could see where Eritrea is guided towards one of the tables for massage and it's getting treated. The three of you spend the first couple hours getting all of your treatments. halfway through your treatment, the three of you are brought to the sulfur spas that are in the outside garden space. Because you're getting a treatment here, for the next 24 hours, you have 10 temporary hit points.
Ooh.
Oh, dang.
And because it's so late in the afternoon, this can kind of go into 1.5 long rests, since it's a true nature of 24 hours. So you have 10 temporary hit points. You have advantage on wisdom saves, and you are resistant to charm for the next 24 hours. It's one of the side effects of the treatment within the Diamond Horizon.
And while I'm in the sulfuric saunas, that feels like an appropriate place to try and connect with the death god.
Yeah.
Can I just do like a quick, not super visible check-in, like just kind of concentrate on like connection to the Raven Queen real quick?
Give me a charisma save, if you would, please.
Not a wisdom save?
Not a wisdom save.
22.
2. You get lost into kind of like a semi-meditative state. You feel yourself enshrined in a dark cloud of black raven feathers. You feel the gentle presence of a white mask in your mind. Her appreciation is there. It's not a direct connection, but it's a passive connection. It's a feeling that you kind of reattach yourself to the Raven Queen. You feel her faith. You feel her spirit, her energy, and it kind of invigorates you briefly, and just kind of puts a smile on your face. Eventually, Melody, Eritrea, and Karina, in your nude form, in the sulfuric baths of the spring. There are other people kind of flitting about, chasing. Now, I will go and get you drinks and snacks. And she says, please, after your cleansing here, we will take you through the second half of your experience. Thank you. And Chasen kind of turns and she steps off to go gather up attendants. But the three of you are back together again after the full experience of the first half of your session.
This is fabulous.
Yeah, I guess it's okay.
Karina, do you go here like all the time, or are you just checking it out for the first time?
I haven't been here before. It's kind of far away from the upper spires, but it's a pretty cute hole in the wall. Okay, I'm doing too much. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's pretty nice. No, I haven't been to this one before, but it seems like a pretty nice place. Certainly a change of pace from the rest of the day.
Is Eritrea seeming pretty comfortable here, or is he like very stiff and formal?
I'm very
Eritrea.
Yeah, I'm very stiff and formal. This whole process is bizarre to me. I'm clearly a little bit more relaxed, but I really don't know how to handle myself in here. It seems too nice.
Eritrea, do you think that your mom would like it here? You said she's like pretty influential. Does she come places like this?
Well, I don't know if this type of area is something she can necessarily be at, and I don't mean that in some sort of status way, in any sort of means.
What do you mean? Like she doesn't have the cash, or like does she not live around here, or like?
Well, I mean, she may have. I guess she could find ways to get the cash, but it's not necessarily of her. It's not her plane, I guess you could say.
It's not her plane.
Anyway, should we head to the baths?
We're in the baths. We're currently in the baths.
I believe I need to use the restroom. Excuse me.
You watch as Eritrea's naked form quickly leaves the sulfur spring, kind of grabs up his robe, puts it off, and kind of like heads towards the next area to further the treatment in the spa event, leaving you and Karina to kind of like just stare after him with a bit of curiosity on your face.
Can I roll an insight check to see if I can, if I mean, it's obviously very suspicious.
Yeah, you can roll insight checks.
That's a natural 20. It's a 22.
I got a nat 22.
Whoa!
All right.
Okay, I think together we just.
I have 2. That's wild.
The universe wanted us to know something.
Yeah. The two of you share a look. You get the feeling that Eritreo's awkwardness is more about the setting of the environment, the poshness of it. You get the feeling that he comes from a much more kind of like conservative background, a more religious background. And although he feels like he's contributing because he wants to fit in, there's definitely something about that point that he mentioned that his mother is not on this plane. And then he stopped from saying more. He probably meant this plane of existence, which is definitely saying a lot without saying much.
So he's like not from around here.
I don't believe he is. With our double 20, nat 20, do we have a sense of what he might be or who he might be connected to at all?
I mean, he's openly admitted he's an Azamar to you, correct, Eritreo? You've done that before already, right? Your known lore and understanding of Azamar is that they can come in two kind of forms of existence. Some have no memory, and they are sometimes merely adopted into families. They rarely have families of their own. It's believed that Azamars come from different planes of existence, and sometimes they're known as fallen, where maybe a particular plane of existence had ejected or dejected their presence, and they find their way to the material plane as a way to kind of either serve a penance or repent for something, maybe some wrong that they've done. But Azamars themselves are quite mysterious figures. They're rare figures to come across. And to have met one in the midst of Jrusar, and clearly a vibe of secrecy kind of like around that quick interaction that the three of you just had, there's a lot of mystery there. You're not really sure that you know Eritreo as much as you thought you might have known him.
Has he told you anything about his mother?
Like, literally not at all, except that he just keeps saying she's super important and then being like this to the sky.
I mean, at first I thought she just had passed away or something, but maybe...
Would it be, like, crazy if his mom was, like, a full god?
It would be crazy. It would be crazy.
What do you think it is? What are they the god of? Like, the god of, like, awkwardness? The god of bar staff?
The god of bar staff.
I mean, those are important.
I mean, he does, like, Eritreo, you do wear kind of iconography of your religion on you, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
I just don't know if they'd be automatically familiar with it. Melody and Karina, give me a history check based on that interaction and what you've seen Eritreo kind of wear. See if you recognize the emblems that he wears.
That's a 20.
I got a 16.
Jeez, sorry, Ryan. They're all up in your business. They're all up in your business.
I'm just gonna do a whole war dump right now.
You recognize that the emblems, his focuses that he wears on his person and kind of displays and express, you recognize it as the emblem of the Saren Ray, a newer formed goddess that's come back into fashion within the last 150 years or so, linked directly with its first reestablishment of its temple within Vasselheim. And you would know that their more embodied leadership is led by someone who goes by the name of Pike Trickfoot. Although it's believed that she no longer is alive, that she's passed on to, she was quite old at the time of the establishment of Sarenrae. And it's believed that during one of her pilgrimages to look for a friend of hers that goes by the name of Scanlan, that she never returned from that pilgrimage. And so the Sarenrae temple has kind of fallen into other, mentorship and people that guide it and keep the vision of Trickfoot alive and her purpose of the Sarenrae alive as well.
Do we know what the Sarenrae is, like what she is the goddess of?
You would know her as the goddess of redemption, healing, and temperance. Which, when you remind yourself of temperance, you kind of look at this place and you're like, kind of makes sense.
Oh. Not really sure what to do with this information.
Does Eritrea wander back at any point, or do you think that he?
No, he's gone on to the next phase of the treatment. That conversation made him very uncomfortable. Like, he let something slip with those insight checks. He let something slip that maybe he shouldn't have let slip.
What would the son of a goddess do down here, like even in this spa?
Yeah, what is he doing waiting tables, or I guess working as a cook at Spire by Fire if he's literally...
Sometimes he takes up odd jobs as a carpenter.
I just gave myself a D6 inspiration.
Should I let my hair back down? Or...
Guess this is just keeps getting stranger and stranger.
It's a little bit stinky and sulfury in here, so I'm gonna go back out and get my hair done.
Guess I'm gonna go out too and
Both
do something fancy.
Exit the spring, gather up your robes to head off in different directions to go and complete your complete the spa experience that you've paid for. Forn, you've lost track of Ember Brew. You're kind of lingering within the Stargazer. What do you do with the rest of your day?
I'm gonna go and take a look at some of the shops around, looking for kind of junk stores.
Okay.
I've got a foreign is thinking about the last combat and how things are not nice up close, and he may be looking to try and fashion something to help him with close range combat.
That's fair. I'll say you wander around a bit. Give me perception or investigation as you begin to examine the nearby shops.
Yikes. I'm going to say perception because I have a better bonus on that. That's a 9.
9. The shops here cater more to touristy style of activity. Small kind of little bakeries and little food stalls, little curio shops, little trinket shops from here or there. But as you're wandering these stalls and these markets, give me another investigation roll.
Yep. That's better. That's a 16.
One of them looks to be a converted caravan selling a lot of like random items. An elderly lady kind of sees you kind of looking at her wares. Well, young man, what can I do for you? You have a gun on your back and at your hip. You're a bit of a gunslinger, are you?
Certainly am. I'm interested in, I'm not so good for the hand-to-hand, but I had some ideas. If I was to take a whole bunch of small pellets and put them behind some of my powder in a shell, perhaps I could create a slow firing but high impact close range weapon to push somebody away from me. I realize now I would have to fashion the ammunition for that myself, but the components or perhaps the completed project, I might find pieces around here that I could be tinkering with and putting back together myself. I do typically like to work on things.
Well, those are very specific items that you're looking for. Do you happen to know what components you would require to make this?
Well, I'd think a couple of long hollow iron pipes, no more than about, say, yay long. And then I need some kind of wood to fashion as
Well, I don't have iron. Would copper do?
Copper. I wonder. I'm afraid copper might be too flimsy. But we can try it out. That's for sure.
Something you might want to try instead of a long requirement of pipe. Maybe cut it into small 2.5-inch long components. Use some cotton wadding and some explosive powder. Take your lead pellets, put it in front of it, and then use your weapon to strike a pan on the backside of the, I guess you could call it a cartridge of sorts. And then that would blast the pellets out in front through ammunition that could be used within your weapons.
Well, now, you are certainly the interesting person to discuss this with. I do like that idea.
Well, I can sell you some lead bars. I could sell you some copper pipe and some cotton wadding. Unfortunately, I do not have any explosive powder. It is not allowed for us to sell here in the Airy Spire. Quite dangerous stuff.
He kind of glances over towards the smoke still billowing out of this smolder spire, like, dangerous indeed. How much of these trinkets going to set me back?
Oh, let's see. I can sell you enough supplies for you to make, say, 50 cartridges. I believe that'll run you about 2 gold, 5 silver.
All right. Well, thank you very much, man. Do you have a card or some kind of an icon that I could maybe find you in the future? Because I had an idea. You took me another direction, and I dare say I quite like this other direction.
If you stand over there by the Stargazer and look due east about 100 feet, you'll see me.
Why, thank you.
Of course. Well, good luck with your project. Don't blow yourself up, dear.
I tried already. I don't think I'll be very successful with this one either.
Traumaton, as you enter the oily pot, this thin, wiry, geeky guy kind of sees you come in. Oh my, this is fascinating. Your name, sir?
Just call me a Traumaton. That will do as a designation.
Is that your given designation or your active designation?
That is my active designation.
Oh, and how long have you been here, Mr. Warforged?
I mean, on this particular spire, or I don't understand your question.
Well, I imagine you're from Eberron, are you not?
You see, like, the visor kind of dims a little bit. Like, I've spent my entire useful life in the spires. I don't recall being imported from another place.
Warforged with a missing memory. My favorite kind of challenge. Come with me. We'll start with your oil bath. We'll get your gears properly cleaned, your plating done good, and then we will open up the panel into your components that stashes your memory and see if we can't fix that dent and figure out where you come from, sir.
I don't know that I want the dent fixed per se. It adds personality, you know?
Yes. Well, we'll just see what kind of damage is going on there. Please step into the oil bath. And with a Traumaton over at the oil pot, our trio, Melody and Karina, finishing up their spa day. Foreign doing some more shopping over in the Ascension's Rise. That's where we're going to finish tonight because we got a bit of a late start. I know for some of you it's late on a Sunday, so I don't want to keep you too much longer. Everybody else out there, please thank you, and thank you so much for watching. Be safe, be kind, and don't forget, play a game. We'll see y'all next Sunday. Bye, everybody.